I'm going to start a new topic in botany, 11th standard botany, biobotany. Now, generally, when we are going out of the house, we are seeing so many varieties of plants. Some plants are very small, like grasses. Some plants are average in height, that is shrubs, and very tall trees are also seen. So, like that, varieties of plants are present. But when we look at a plant, we can see the parts of the plant which are present above the soil. But we know very well some parts are buried inside the soil. So, overall, if you take a plant, it is including the roots and also the aerial part of the plant. Now, when we observe a plant, we are always observing only the external appearance of the plant. Okay, what is the height? What is the color of the leaf? What is the color of the flower? What is the size of the leaf? Like that, we are seeing external appearance. The study of external appearance of any living organism, whether it is a plant or animal, whatever it is called a morphology. In lower class, you might have studied. Morphology means it is a study of external features of the living organisms. So, in plants, when we observe the outer features, external features, then the study is called vegetative morphology. Morphology is external appearance. Vegetative. Now, vegetative means the whole body, what is present, what is visible to us, that is called the vegetative part. But generally, when we see a plant, common plant, any plant if you take, as I told, below the soil, roots will be there. Above the soil, what are the various organs are present? We have to see. The aerial part of the plants will be having a main stem will be there. Branches may be present, may not be present. Lot of leaves are there. At the axils of the leaves, buds will be present. Then after a period of time in the season, they are producing flowers. Then the flowers are developing into fruits, and inside the fruits, some seeds will be present. Maybe one seed or many seeds will be present. These are all the various parts of a plant. But out of these parts, like root, stem, branches, buds, leaves, then flowers, fruits and seeds, except the flowers, fruits and seeds, the other parts are called vegetative parts. All other parts are called vegetative parts. Now, what are the vegetative parts? Roots, complete root. The next one is main stem, branches, leaves, buds. Okay, all these things are coming under vegetative parts of a plant. Now, we are going to study the external features of the vegetative parts of a plant. That means, in this topic, we are not going to study about flower, which develops into fruits, which are bearing the seeds, that we are not going to take. The rest of the parts we are going to study. So, the study of vegetative parts of a plant, we can call as vegetative morphology. So, that is the topic today, what we are going to discuss. First, we have to know what is the meaning of morphology. Just before I told, it is the study of external features of living organism. Suppose you are studying about the living organism, which is an animal morphology. If you are studying about the plant's external appearance, plant morphology, like that. So, it is the external features of the living organism. Plant morphology, that is the topic what we are going to study. It is a study of external features such as, what are the external features we have to study? The shape of the leaf, the shape of the stem, the shape of the branches, everything, shape. Size of the leaf, size of the plant, everything, size. And the structure of a plant and plant parts. The whole plant we have to study, and also the parts of a plant we have to study. That is actually called a plant morphology. Now, we are going to study, why should we study the external features? Because we are seeing so many things. Now, already we understand what is the shape, size, everything. Why we have to study this vegetative morphology? That is importance of plant morphology. Now, the plant morphology, the study of external features, are very important for taxonomy, classification of plants. Actually, plants are enormous in number. So many millions and millions of species of plants are present. So, we have to study the classification. We have to group them. For that, external appearance is very, very important. And phylogeny. Phylogeny means it is a study of evolution. That means long time before they appeared on the earth. several millions of years before, how one group of living organisms evolved into other group, that is called evolution. That study of evolution is called phylogeny. So for taxonomy and phylogeny, the plant morphology is very, very important. The next importance is for crop productivity. Now first we have to know what is the meaning of crop. Any plant which is giving us food, any plants which are giving us grains, we can call as crop. Okay, now grains or fruits or vegetables or anything, food products, that is called a crop. So for crop productivity, if you know the external appearance, external features of the plant, we can understand how we can cultivate and how we can get the products from the plant. For that, external morphology is very important. For example, I'll tell paddy plant which is growing about 2 feet to 2.5 feet. So external appearance is very, very important. Once it is growing to that height, immediately it is producing grains. Then what will be the color of the grain? What will be the size of the grain? We have to see. Once it is matured very well, we are harvesting and we are getting the product. So even for crop productivity, plant morphology is very, very important. It is also important, it also indicates the habitat. Now by seeing the appearance of a plant, we can understand where these plants are growing, whether they are growing on the soil or they are growing in water or they are growing in sea, whatever it is, the habitat, the place where they can grow, that is called a habitat. And also the distribution, which will be the correct climatic condition so that they can live in a particular place. For example, some plants are living only in the forest, some plants are living only in the desert, that is called a distribution. If you bring the desert plant and if you keep them here in our garden, they will die. The same way, if you take our plants which are growing in our garden, if you take them and plant them in the desert, they will die. So they have their own place and they need their own climatic condition. According to that, they are distributed throughout the world. That is called a distribution. So it indicates, the external morphology indicates the habitat and the distribution. It is also important to understand the time period of fossils. First we will take what are fossils. Now there are so many species of animals which lived in the past but they are not living now. They are called fossils, extinct animals. We are calling them as extinct animals. These animals are animals, plants also. Even the plants are also buried, but they lived in the past, but they are not living now. But the parts of the plant which lived in the past are preserved in the soil or preserved underwater. The preserved extinct plants we can call as fossils. The preserved extinct parts of the animals we can call as animal fossils. So for plant fossils, once we get the fossils, what is the time period? How many thousands of years before they lived? We can understand about it. So it is useful to understand the time period of fossils. The fossils means the parts which are preserved inside the soil or in the water of plants which lived in the past. Now we are coming to types of plant morphology. So in the plant morphology, in the external appearance, there are different types of plant morphology. Only two major divisions are there. One is vegetative morphology. In the introduction I told you, vegetative means vegetative parts. Which are the vegetative parts? It is a study of roots. Roots are the vegetative parts, root system and the shoot system. Now shoot system means the parts of the plant which are present above the soil, like stem, branches, buds, leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. Everything is called a shoot system. So vegetative morphology is the study of root system and the shoot system. Reproductive morphology, that means there are certain organs which are meant only for reproduction, not for any other purpose. That study we can call it as reproductive morphology. It is the study of inflorescence. What is the meaning of inflorescence? We have to see. In some plants, the flowers are produced in bunches. Maybe 10-15 flowers together, one bunch. Like that, many bunches will be there. So the bunch of flowers we can call as inflorescence. Next one is flowers. You know very well, whether different colored flowers will be there. Single flowers. We can take flowers, fruits and seeds. So if you study only the inflorescence, that is bunch of flowers, some flowers, fruits and seeds, that is coming under reproductive morphology. In this topic, we are not going to study reproductive morphology. We are going to study only vegetative morphology. So we are going to start that topic, vegetative morphology. Habit. Say habit is different, habitat is a different. Habitat means the place where the plants are living, the place where some animals are living, that is called a habitat. Okay, the natural place where they are growing. So habit, what habit means, it is the size of the plant. Actually we can call it as the size of the plant. Now we can say, what is the definition for habit? It is the study of structure of general form. What is the shape? What is the size? What is the structure, like that form of a plant? General structure, general form of a plant, that is called a habit. So based on the habit, we can classify the plants into herbs, shrubs, and the next one, trees. Three groups are present, herbs, shrubs, that is common name, what we can see. Now what are herbs? We have to see. Now normally the herbs are very short plants. They are not growing very taller. They are not growing very bigger. Very small plants we can call as herbs. But these herbs are having soft stem. The stem will be soft. You can bend very easily. Okay, we are not breaking, but we can easily bend. So the stem is very soft. So they are soft stemmed plants. Second one, they are annuals. Annuals, again and again it will come, the term will come. Annuals means any plant which is living for one season. Okay, for example, some plants are living only in summer. Maybe 3 months, 3.5 months, 4 months. After that, they will die. That means they are completing the life cycle. Some are living only in the winter season, like that. So one season, if any plant is living for only one season, it is called an annual. Then the second group of plants are called biennials. Actually, biennial, biannual. Bi means two, annual means season. These plants are living for 2 seasons. They are called biennials. And perennials. Perennials means these are the plants which are living for many years. They are called perennial herbs. They are herbs, small plants, but they are living for one season. Some are living for 2 seasons. Some are living a few years to many years. That is the second character. The next one, perennial herbs. Just now I told, perennial herbs means the herbs which are living for many years. A few years to many years, which have bulb. Bulb means the reduced stem. The stem is not very longer, the stem is not very taller, the stem is not branched, but it is very much condensed. That is called what is that? Bulb. Corm. Even that corm is also reduced stem, but all are buried in the soil. They are buried into the soil. We cannot see above the soil. Corm. Rhizome. Then later on we will study in detail. And also the tuber. They are all generally called underground stem. The stem is buried in the soil. Only leaves will be seen outside. Now they are called perennial herbs, or called geophytes. What is the meaning of geo? Geo means soil. Phytes means plants. The stem of the plants are buried in the soil. So such plants we can call as geophytes. Example, Phyllanthus amarus. For the herbs, Phyllanthus amarus. It is a common plant which are present in the fields. Wherever the water is moving in small canals and all, at the sides the Phyllanthus amarus will be growing. Then we are coming to the second group of plants called shrubs. What are shrubs? Now the shrubs are woody plants. That means the stem is very thick, very strong and woody. It is very difficult to bend or break. That is called woody plants with a bushy appearance. The whole plant is giving appearance like a bush. That is called a bushy appearance. Okay. Several main branches. Normally, if you take any one tree, first a trunk will be there, then lot of branches will be there. But here it will not be there. First one main stem will be there. Then lot of branches will be coming from the base of the main stem and giving several main branches. All are called main branches. Arise from ground level, so that all the branches are giving appearance like a bush. That is, several main branches arise from ground level. Example, hibiscus. In our garden, even in our school garden, we can find a hibiscus plant. Now if you see that one main stem will be there. Equal thickness of lateral branches will be coming from the ground level. So it is giving bushy appearance. It will not give appearance like a tree. That is, we can call as the shrubs. Normally the shrubs are growing about 5 feet to 8 feet. Average 5 feet to 8 feet height. They are growing. They are called shrubs. Then the third group of plants are called climbers. There are certain plants which are having stem which are very thin. So the stem cannot stand vertically erect above the soil. So they are called weak stemmed plants. But what they do is, whenever the support is available, whatever the support may be, it can be a wall, or it can be a pillar, or it can be the other plant, very strong plant. Now what they can do is, they climb on the support. They grow well. They climb on the support and grow well. So what type of characters the climbers are having? Weak stemmed plants. The stem is very weak. The stem of its own cannot stand vertically erect. Need support. So if they want to grow upward, they need support. And they have special devices. Now for holding the support, they have some special devices to climb on the support. That is the second characteristic features. The third one may be annual or perennial. I already told you, annual means these plants are living for one season, or perennial, maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like that, many years they can grow. Herbaceous. What is the meaning of herbaceous? Soft stem. The stem is very, very soft. That is called a herbaceous or woody stem. Sometimes, though it is a climbing on the support, the stem may be very strong and woody, very, very hard in nature. Very rarely in some plants, woody, as in lianas. Lianas is a group of plants. Lianas is a group of plants. In these plants, very few plants are there in that group. They are having very strong and woody stem, but they are climbers. They cannot stand. That is individually. Then lianas are major group of plants in some tropical forest. They are seen only in some tropical forest. Example for climbers, ventilago. Okay, ventilago is a type of plant. That is Entera. Another one, bougainvillea. Normally in the buildings, that is a bungalow type of houses and all in front, the bougainvillea will be growing with beautiful colors. Now we are coming to the last group, which are called trees. Okay, trees. The trees are perennials. They are living for a few to many years. Some plants are growing for about, that is living for about 100 years, 200 years, 700 years, 800 years, like banyan. Okay, so they are living for several years, perennials. And tall plants, they are growing. Maybe from 10 feet to 100 feet they are growing. That is called very tall plants, trees. They have stout trunk. The base of the main stem, if you take it, will be very, very stout, bearing all the branches. Okay, it may be branched. Okay, branched. The trunk is bearing several branches, like a banyan tree. Just now I told you. Next one is mango tree. It is also having several branches. Neem tree, etc. These are all having lot of branches. Sometimes the trees are unbranched. They don't have any branches. Only the main trunk stem will be growing. Leaves will be there on the top. That is called, if unbranched trees are there, they are called caducous tree. If any unbranched, for example, you are taking coconut tree, you are saying palm tree, and these trees are not having any branches, so that these trees are called what? Caducous trees. Now example, palmyra. Now actually the spelling palmyra, but we have PAL, but L is a silence. Palmyra. Okay, palmyra. Next one is coconut, etc. These are the plants which are not having any branches.